Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today on the Pearl Atelier. We are going to be discovering about the history of jade, and I've had a few questions on this, so I decided to put it together in one video for you. So enjoy the rest of the video. The first emperor of the Qing dynasty, Emperor Shi Huangdi, was the emperor who united the whole of China, which was no mean feat because there were so many different states, and you have to consider the different terrains and the obstacles that they had to overcome to unite the whole of China, and they were fiercely contested by the Zhao dynasty. Nevertheless, he managed to unite the whole of China, and it's widely believed that the Qing dynasty was the first dynasty of China which widely used jade. A lot of people presume that the Qing dynasty, which was the first dynasty that united the whole of China, was actually the one who first started using jade, but it proceeds back to the Zhao dynasty, and which is considered the longest dynastic regime in Chinese history. It lasted for 789 years, starting from 1046 BC to 771 BC, and they were a constant thorn for the Qing dynasty. They were always the biggest stumbling block in unifying the whole of China. So the Zhao dynasty was actually renowned for their bronzeware. You can see still remnants from that period of the bronze that was used. So they were more renowned for their bronze rather than their jade. As I mentioned, jade was also used during the Zhao dynasty. You can see here an example of the bead discs that they used more for decorative and ceremonial purposes. Actually, a lot of people don't really know the purpose of the bead disc, apart from the fact that it was found in many ancient tombs of the nobility and of the imperial royal family. So whenever they do a reenactment of it in period dramas, it's always seen to be a decorative element. So this is a stretch of their imagination. Nobody actually knows what was the purpose of it, and a lot of the times for businessmen in the modern era, they usually place the bead discs in their office as a showpiece. During the Han dynasty, they used jade for their burial rites, especially for the emperor. So they preserved the body by plugging the orifices with jade in the ears, in over the tops of the eyelids, and as well as other orifices of the body. And they would encase the whole body with platelets of jade, which is singed together by using pure gold. So this really reminds me of the sarcophagus of King Tutankhamun from the ancient Egyptians, who also encased the remains of the pharaoh with lapis lazuli, which they consider as a precious stone, especially those which are of a good quality, which would have some gold flecks in it. And you can see that the sarcophagus is encased with lapis with gold. And I think one of the greatest dynasties of all has to be the Tang dynasty. Tang dynasty is always considered to be the zenith of Chinese history, and that period was the most culturally rich. It was open to trade because of the Silk Route also, especially during that time when we have two of the most fabulous females in the history of China, that is Empress Wu Zetian as well as Yang Guifei, who is considered one of the four epic beauties of China. And the Ming dynasty is renowned for its blue and white china. It's also known for its simplicity of the Ming furniture, which is still very popular today. You can see the elegance of the furniture, and it's still very modern till today. Empress Xiao was the consort to the fifth Ming emperor. She held on to the power and ran the empire for her infant son. When the emperor passed away, she was truly revered, and you can see her here wearing her magnificent headdress with the jade and other precious gemstones. And here you can see a selection of the Ming Dynasty jade pieces. They were the first dynasty who recorded the jade carvers. Prior to the Ming Dynasty, there were no records of who the jade carvers were, and you really can see how much they have elevated it.
你的首饰？你哪儿有首饰？那都是皇上赐你的。宫中的赏赐，我一分没有动过。这些全部都是我进田地之前，我娘家为我准备的，全部都不是宫中的财物。
It seems really, really cruel, and people may not understand it today, but this really happened in the history of China, especially when it comes to the palace and its consorts, many different levels of consorts. The higher the ranking of the consort or concubine, the more elaborate their jewelry would be. So this is really what happened in the past. This is not make-believe. And if you look at Crazy Rich Asians, you would see the same scenario, but in a modern setting. When you look at Crazy Rich Asians, for instance, and Rachel was supposed to meet up with Nick's mother for the first time at his palatial mansion, it's already nerve-wracking enough. And when you look at Michelle Yeoh, you can see that she is wearing that fabulous jade brooch as well as jade earrings. So this is what I'm talking about old money, and especially those with nobility and wealth will definitely have this sort of a fabulous type of jade to wear. And Rachel, not knowing anything about it, especially when it comes to Asians from overseas whose parents did not instill in them an appreciation of the Chinese culture and its beliefs and its respect for old traditions, such as wearing a family heirloom jade jewelry, then it's going to be difficult for old money to receive people, especially from the outside. So we've seen how jade has transitioned over the 3,000 years of history through the establishment of the first dynasty of China, the Qing dynasty, and all the upheavals he went through just to be able to unite the whole of China. And His Majesty and his legacy lives on till today. And then we've seen how the jade has transitioned over all the dynasties. I can't fit them all into one video, but generally speaking, you can see how each dynasty has embraced jade and has upgraded it. My favorite dynasty is the Qing dynasty, especially Emperor Qianlong, because by that time he has had a very long and established period, and it has been so from the period of his grandfather Emperor Kangxi, and also, as I mentioned, because of the auction handled by Sotheby's, where they managed to auction off Emperor Qianlong's imperial seal for $20 million. that really caught the attention of the world. Can still feel the charisma of that emperor. So he is my most favorite emperor of all time, and also opened the eyes of the world to the fact that no other gemstone in the history of mankind has commanded such a high price at auction. And when you consider this stone that has traveled through time, centuries even before Christ, such a tumultuous history, so many changes of dynasty, and the jade is there in every single one of these dynasty. The jade has always been the symbol of power and nobility. So I really don't understand why people, especially the younger generation, don't appreciate it, of this gemstone, which is such an indelible part of the Chinese culture. I think a lot of the times it's the Westerners who has expressed more interest into chinoiserie. I think a lot of younger modern generations, they don't really appreciate jade because in their mind it's always something to do with their grandmother's jewelry. But in this instance, where you can see, for example, the jade that I'm wearing, I've incorporated it with some dioptase crystal, so you can see that you can wear it in a very modern way. And another one more that I always like to feature is Kathy Hilton. She is the mother to Paris Hilton. You can see her here wearing that fabulous blouse with the prints on it, and when she wore that pair of dangly jade earrings, it just takes it up a notch, you know what I mean? The color is so luscious. This is in a classic apple green color. It is very substantial in size. It's carved, so you can immediately see the quality of it. If you go online and you try to search the price of something similar, it is quite pricey. So she has absolutely fabulous taste. Another one more that I like to feature is Gong Li. You can see her here in a drama, and she is wearing that fabulous pair of dangly earrings interspersed with diamonds. So this is one way that they've incorporated and styled it in a very Western modern Art Deco kind of a style. When you think about the color of jade, it is green in color, the color of life. If you have someone, for example, who is not feeling well, and you put on a piece of jade bangle on them and it's in the color of green, it signifies life, it signifies new beginnings and new growth. That is exactly why it's always called the stone for great health and prosperity. Calms the heartbeat. When you put it on your left hand, it goes directly to the vein of your heart. It's such a fabulous piece of gemstone, and I hope that I have opened up and piqued your interest in it. If you would like to know more about this fabulous gemstone, I've done other videos. I'm going to be linking it towards the end, so be sure to check that out. Or if you are interested in jade, you may also browse through my website at www.thepearlatelier.com, or you may go to my YouTube landing page, click on that website icon, and it will lead you directly to my website. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope to see you again in my next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.
There's a somebody